What if one person's, hobby project fundamentally reshaped the entire world of computing?
Hmm.
And what if that same person, known for being, well, brutally honest, still uses a surprisingly old piece of hardware to run the software that powers pretty much everything?
It's quite a picture, isn't it?
Today, we're doing a deep dive into Linus Torvalds, the Finnish-American software engineer behind two really huge creations in modern computing, the Linux kernel.
And the Git version control system. Can't
Yes.
forget Git.
Absolutely.
Our mission here really is to unpack the journey of this accidental revolutionary
Accidental.
from his early days hacking on home computers in Finland, right up to his current role overseeing this massive global open source phenomena.
We want to explore, the inspirations behind his creations, his very unique leadership style, and the legacy he's built.
And for this, we've looked at his biography, various technical articles, and also direct quotes from interviews, including a recent one about Git turning 20.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. Many people know the name Linus Torvalds, but what actually shaped him? Where did this incredible journey really kick off?
Well, it all starts in Helsinki, Finland. He was born there in 1969.
Right.
His parents were journalists, campus radicals too, apparently, and his family is part of Finland's Swedish-speaking minority.
Right.
Interestingly, he was named partly after Linus Pauling, the Nobel Prize winner,
The chemist, yeah.
but also, as he joked himself, half-blanket-carrying cartoon character Linus from Peanuts.
Huh. Okay, so where did that initial spark for computing come from? What really ignited his passion?
It seems it ignited really early, age 11, back in 1981, with a Commodore VC-20.
A VC-20, wow.
Classic.
Yeah.
He started programming in BASIC, which was common then, but then, quite impressively, moved straight to machine code for the 6502 CPU.
Whoa, hang on. Straight to machine code, skipping assembly language.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the core chip behind things like the Apple II, the Commodore 64. To just jump into its native language like that, it shows this really intuitive grasp early on.
That sounds like a really hands-on approach right from the get-go.
Exactly. And when he got a Sinclair QL later, he didn't just use it, he heavily modified its operating system.
Why? Just for fun or?
Pragmatism, mostly. He said it was so hard to get software for it in Finland. So what did he do?
Let me guess. He wrote his own.
You got it. Wrote his own assembler, his own editor. Even a Patchman clone he called Coolman.
Coolman, okay.
So this hands-on problem-solving thing, building what he needed when it wasn't there, that was clearly foundational. You see that pattern again and again.
So then he goes on to the University of Helsinki, gets a master's in computer science.
Right. Though his studies got interrupted for a bit by Finland's mandatory military service.
Ah, right. How long was that?
11 months. Served as an artillery observer in the Finnish Navy, actually. Then back at university in 1990, that's when he first encountered Unix properly. On a DEC Microvax running UltraIRX.
And that was the spark.
That, combined with reading Andrew Tannenbaum's book on Eminex.
Eminex, that was the sort of educational stripped-down Unix.
Exactly, designed for teaching operating system concepts. That combination was pivotal. It directly led him to buy an Intel 8386-based IBM PC clone in January 91.
And that was the machine.
That was the very machine he started working on what would become Linux.
Yeah.
So you can really see how these early, almost accidental experiences, driven by curiosity and just needing to solve problems, laid all the groundwork.
It really sets the stage perfectly for Linux itself, this project he called a hobby, explicitly saying it won't be big and professional like new.
Yeah, ironic now, isn't it? It really began as just a personal project. He wanted a Unix-like system for his own cheap PC. And from those, pretty humble beginnings, it just exploded.
It went public as prototypes on an FTP server at his university late 91, right? And version 1.0 hit the internet in March 94.
Correct. And that naming story is great, too.
Oh, yeah, freaks.
He wanted freaks, free, freak, X for Unix. But his friend, Ari Lemke, who managed the FTP server,
Just called the directory Linux.
just named it Linux.
Yeah.
And it stuck. Serendipity.
That really brings up a crucial point, though, about the open source licensing.
Oh, absolutely critical. Initially, Linus's license for Linux actually forbade commercial use.
Right, which seems counterintuitive now.
It does. But after meeting Richard Stallman, the founder of the GNU project, and getting some, let's say, encouragement from other contributors,
He switched licenses.
he switched to Stallman's GNU General Public License version 2. The GPL v2.
And that was huge.
Massive. Because the GPL isn't just about free as in price, it's free as in liberty.
Yeah.
Freedom to use, modify, distribute. That switch truly unlocked Linux's potential for, well, everything that followed.
And look at it now. Linux powers what? Nearly 100% of the top 500 supercomputers?
Pretty much all of them. Most cloud infrastructure too, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, they all run on Linux.
Android smartphones.
Android's built on the Linux kernel. Countless IoT devices, embedded systems. It's everywhere.
So when you look at that incredible ubiquity, what stands out most to you? How did it fundamentally reshape the whole open source movement?
Well, it's not just the market share, it's the sheer diversity of where it ended up. I mean, supercomputers and your phone. That adaptability comes from Linus's focus on just building a really solid, flexible kernel. He didn't try to build the whole ecosystem.
He built the foundation.
Exactly. And that implicitly invited thousands of people, companies, everyone, to build on top of it. It proved this highly collaborative distributed model could create something world-class, maybe even better than traditional methods for certain things.
And Linus himself, he still holds the ultimate authority, right, on what goes into the main kernel.
He does. He's the benevolent dictator for life, as the saying goes, though maybe less benevolent in his emails sometimes.
We might get to that.
But yeah, he decides which new code gets merged, although his personal coding contribution, even back in 2006, was only around 2%.
Still a huge chunk for one person in a project that size.
Oh, absolutely. But his main role now is guiding development, merging code from thousands of others. He's sponsored full-time by the Linux Foundation to do this work.
That's the nonprofit consortium?
Right, dedicated to supporting Linux, coordinating development, all that stuff.
And his pragmatism, it extends beyond just open source itself, doesn't it?
Totally. He believes open source is the only right way to do software, but he'll use proprietary tools if they're the best for the job. No dogma there.
Like using Fedora Linux for PowerPC support.
Yeah. Or that time he famously ditched the GNOME 3.0 desktop environment because he found it annoying, switched to Xvice for a while.
Before going back to GNOME with extensions, I think.
Exactly. It shows that focus on what works for him functionally over sticking to some pure ideology.
And that same pragmatic problem-solving mindset. Well, it didn't stop with the kernel.
No, definitely not. Because years later, 2005, a completely different kind of problem crops up.
Leading to his other massive creation, Git.
Exactly. And the story behind Git is just as fascinating, maybe even more so because it was born from, well, a crisis.
Absolutely. Git wasn't some grand plan. It came out of pure frustration. Right?
Pure frustration. The Linux kernel community, they were using this proprietary version control system called BitKeeper.
Which was good, apparently.
It was light years ahead of anything else at the time, according to Linus. Very advanced. But proprietary.
Yeah.
And that caused friction, especially when some developers tried to reverse engineer the BitKeeper protocols, which violated the license agreement.
So the company pulled the plug?
Pulled the free license for the kernel developers. Suddenly, the whole Linux development workflow was in jeopardy. They needed a replacement fast.
And Linus, having apparently thought about this kind of problem for months.
Just sat down and banged out the first version of Git in, what, 10 days?
Roughly 10 days. It's incredible. He famously considers starting a new project a failure of the world.
Yeah, he prefers others solve his problems, but nobody had built the tool he needed for managing the kernel's scale and workflow, so he had to do it himself.
And the design goals for Git were super specific, weren't they? Driven by the kernel's needs.
Absolutely. Extreme performance was key. He wanted to apply patches incredibly quickly, like 50 to 100 patches in half a minute, not half a minute per patch, like older systems.
A huge difference.
And had to be truly distributed. No central server dependency, so developers could work offline, branch easily, merge effectively.
And
rock solid stability.
He used cryptographic hashes, SHA-1, right? But not really for security.
Not primarily, no. It was more about data integrity. To detect any corruption, which had apparently been an issue with BitKeeper sometimes, ensuring the history was immutable.
But initially, Git was pretty rough around the edges.
Oh yeah, raw is a good word. He himself said he was using the low-level plumbing commands directly. The user-friendly stuff, the porcelain as they call it now, came later, often as shell scripts first. It was not easy, even for kernel hackers.
And then quite quickly, he handed it off.
Amazingly quickly. Within a few months, July 2005, he handed over maintainership to Junio Hamano.
One of the early contributors.
Yep. Linus basically said, okay, it does what I need now. Maintaining it isn't what I want to do long term. You have good taste, you take it.
Wow. That shows incredible trust. And also maybe his focus solve the immediate problem, then move on.
I think so. And Hamano has been maintaining Git ever since, doing an incredible job. The project really took on a life of its own then.
What's surprising is how fast it spread beyond the kernel world.
Yeah, Linus mentioned being surprised when, around 2008, these strange web developers, especially the Ruby on Rails community, started picking it up.
And a lot of them were young, maybe new to version control entirely.
Exactly. Which actually helped Git's reputation because they didn't have baggage from older systems like CVS or Subversion. They just learned Git. So the perception shifted from this hard kernel tool to this powerful modern way to work.
And its distributed nature was the key, wasn't it?
That was the killer feature, absolutely. Working locally, branching easily, then sharing. That model just clicked. It made platforms like GitHub almost inevitable, or trivial, as Linus put it.
Trivial to build on top of Git, yeah.
And now it's ubiquitous. Like 98% of software projects reportedly use it. Huge corporate projects, tiny student assignments. It scales remarkably well.
And Linus himself still uses it every day, obviously, but...
He calls himself a very casual user.
Mm-hmm.
Says he only uses a handful of basic commands. Admits he loses interest once a tool does what he needs it to do.
Classic Linus.
Yeah. He does see challenges for Git now, though. Things like bug tracking being fragmented across different hosting sites, or people trying to use Git for stuff it wasn't really designed for, like huge binary files or massive monorepos.
Or pushing the boundaries. Okay, so we've talked Linux, we talked Git, but what about the man himself? Beyond the code, his public persona has definitely made waves.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
What kind of person is he, based on what we know?
Well, his personal life has some interesting details. He's married to Tove Money.
The 6-time Finnish national karate champion.
That's the one. Apparently, they met after she emailed him, asking for a date after one of his computer lab intro courses he was teaching.
That's brilliant.
They have 3 daughters. And get this, their birth dates are actually used as magic values in the Linux kernel's reboot system call code.
No way! That is such a Linus thing to do, embedding personal Easter eggs right into the kernel's core.
Only he could, right?
Yeah.
He also describes himself as completely a religious atheist. Thinks religion sort of distracts from appreciating nature and morality itself.
Okay. And politically, he became a U.S. citizen in 2010.
He did, but he's explicitly stated he's unaffiliated with any political party. Cites too much personal pride to align himself like that.
Which brings us to his communication style. It's famous, or infamous.
Yeah, blunt is the polite term. He's called himself a really unpleasant person, admits he curses a lot in his emails to developers.
He argues it's necessary for clarity, right, to be direct about technical issues.
That's his justification. But we have to report impartially, that approach has drawn significant criticism over the years. People felt it created a hostile environment sometimes.
Which led to that big event in 2018.
Exactly. The Linux kernel's old code of conflict document was replaced with a more standard code of conduct. And Linus himself issued an apology for his past behavior, calling it unprofessional and uncalled for.
And he took some time off.
Took a break to get some assistance on how to understand people's emotions, as it was put. This all came about after the New Yorker magazine was making inquiries about his conduct. So it was a pretty major moment of reflection, it seems.
And more recently, in 2024, there was that statement about Russian developers.
Yes, he excluded Russian developers from the official Linux kernel maintainers list, and when asked why, he stated quite directly, "I'm Finnish. Did you think I'd be supporting Russian aggression?" Shows he's certainly not afraid to state strong opinions publicly.
So that bluntness, that pragmatism, it carries through everywhere, even his personal tech choices.
Well, yeah. As of, very recently, August 2025, he's apparently still using an 8-year-old graphics card, an AMD Radeon RX 580.
Seriously, in his main development machine.
Paired with a nice Asus ProArt 5K monitor and a powerful Ryzen Threadripper CPU. But yeah, that old GPU, he's not a big gamer, he says.
No way that...
It's reliable, it works for compiling kernels, and apparently it helps them find bugs. He recently reported a display stream compression bug that showed up specifically on his setup.
So even his hardware choices are pragmatic tests.
Seems like it. And then there's Subsurface.
Oh yeah, the scuba diving software.
His personal hobby is scuba diving. He needed better software for logging and planning dives, couldn't find what he wanted.
So he wrote his own, again.
And open sourced it. Another personal itch scratched turned into another successful open source project. The pattern holds.
Okay, so considering all this, the code, the personality, the impact, what does it all mean for his place in history? The list of awards alone is pretty staggering.
It really is. He got the 2012 Millennium Technology Prize, which is often called Tech's Nobel Prize, specifically for creating Linux.
Huge honor.
Then there's the IE Computer Pioneer Award, induction into the Internet Hall of Fame in 2012.
His old university, Helsinki, named an auditorium after him, right? Displays his computer.
They did. Asteroids have been named after him, even a Tuxedo Computers laptop model. And apparently, a moon rock sample brought back by Apollo 17 was nicknamed Linus by the astronauts, though that's more informal.
Still cool.
What's fascinating is how the media perception shifted. Time magazine put him on their Time 100 list, called him one of the world's most influential people multiple times.
Makes sense.
But then, back in 2006, Business 2.0 magazine did this piece, naming him one of 10 people who don't matter.
What? Why?
Their argument was basically that Linux had become so big, so community-driven, that Linus's individual impact had shrunk relative to the project's overall momentum.
Huh. That's a strange way to look at it.
It is, but it kind of illustrates the nature of what he built, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He created platforms, Linux, Git, that empower millions of others. His success is measured partly by how much he enabled others to achieve, diffusing that individual spotlight into a massive collective effort.
That's a great point. His influence is just undeniable, though. Linux is under the hood of almost everything digital.
Okay.
Git changed how all software gets made.
Absolutely. And his philosophy, good code wins, the focus on technical meritocracy, even with the controversies around his style, it shaped the entire culture of open source. And he's still there, reviewing patches, setting kernel policies, day in, day out.
So we've really seen how Linus Torvalds, driven by this deep curiosity and a very pragmatic need to solve his own problems first.
Inadvertently ended up creating tools that utterly transformed computing. His journey really shows that sometimes the biggest revolutions don't start with grand plans. They start small, personal.
And that huge impact can come from just a relentless focus on technical excellence, even if, the delivery sometimes comes with famously sharp edges.
Exactly. It's a complex legacy, but an undeniably massive one.
So, thinking about all this, what does it mean for you, listening right now? Maybe consider the power of just building something for yourself, solving your own itch. Could that little hobby project you're tinkering with, the one just meant to fix your own problem, actually have the potential to be the next world-changing innovation? Even if, like Linus, that's not your goal at all, something to think about.